Hey guys, and welcome back to the Razer Academy. I'm MrBitter, joined once more by root.tod of Team Root, and today we're bringing you another instructional video in our Zerg versus Terran series. Our last one was 2-base Muta in ZVT. Today we're talking about how to play against a meching Terran. We're going to be looking at a replay of the Evil Genius's Puma versus the Little One from Team Liquid, and we'll be jumping into that game shortly. But before we do that, I want to remind you all, last week's video was 2-base Muta, Zerg versus Terran. Check that out if you haven't seen it already. And looking forward to future stuff. We've got a lot of great things planned for Protoss and for Terran. So if you play either of those races, do not worry, we're not going to leave you out. Let's go ahead and jump over into our game. root.tod, this is a ZVT on Metropolis. We're going to be looking from TLO's vision. This is the Little One. He's playing on the account Bumblebee. Bumblebee is the manager for Team Liquid. A hard-working, awesome guy. Shout out to him.
We had a hatch 15 go down, followed by a pull, and he actually chose to scout this position as first. I guess it's because if you scout this position first, then your overlord will get really late to this one.
Yeah, I mean, different players have different scouting patterns for different reasons. Me, personally, I like to drone scout every single game, and I would actually recommend that any of you guys that are not playing at a professional level already, that you consider drone scouting too. Guys that play as well as TLO as well as Todd, they can sometimes get away with not scouting for longer just because of how much they're able to rely on their control. But for somebody like me, I need to drone scout because I need to know exactly what I'm playing against. Regardless, that's a great first overlord from TLO. He sees a double gas from Puma, and he knows that has to mean a pretty tech-heavy opening. Let's take a moment, Todd, and just have a look at what Puma is doing, so that from our perspective we know exactly what it is. He does have double gas. He has expanded very quickly, and he's getting this factory tech in place. He's going to be meching. I'm just, spoiler alert, mech is coming. But if we go back to just TLO's vision, we'll see once again, even getting the Starport down for a potential Banshee play. If we go back to just TLO's vision, let's see exactly what he knows. Not that much, just that there is double gas. That is enough, however, for him to build that evolution chamber very early on and start both upgrades and open up access to spore crawlers, which is what you really need if you're going to be dealing with Cloak Banshees.
I'm actually surprised that he didn't even take the control of this Velnaga watchtower with at least one Zergling. I'm guessing he's anticipating some kind of Hellions since he saw the two gases. But still, I mean, it's good to know how many they are when they come there.
He is playing very, very greedy. He's been droning exceptionally hard. We did just see 2 Lings pop out on the production tab. He's got a couple more. They're all working on rocks right now. TLO is taking some chances here in the fact that he hasn't done a whole lot of scouting. But he also has extra queens out. He's got really good building placement. Notice how those Hellions are not going to have a really easy time of getting over into the natural. They will be able to harass that third base a little bit, but Hellions don't kill hatcheries very quickly. So TLO doesn't have too much to worry about.
47 drones to 36 SCVs. And
we're seeing a really critical Overlord scout right now. It's going to walk right past this tech lab. We can see that Cloak is being researched. Puma may cancel this. We'll just have to wait and see. But immediately, TLO reacts with some spore crawlers. Very, very smart. He knows that he can rely on his larva mechanic to replace any drones that he has to commit to these spore crawlers. So he's going to be very liberal with his spore crawler placement.
Look at all the Overlords. Very well done here. You can see anything coming from basically anywhere. A pretty good job here by Puma, preventing the mining from this base, but TLO has something to say about this. He's going to try to surround those Hellions.
And this is a critical moment in the game, Todd. Not just because he stops these Hellions, that's pivotal. Not just because he chases away this Banshee, that's also pivotal, but because he saw the army composition of Puma. He saw more than just 4 Hellions. That was like 8, maybe 10 Hellions. Almost a number that he's going to be able to ascertain. Are you meching? And certainly when you talk about a metagame where Banshees, Hellions into more mech play is getting more and more common. Lings are going to run across, and if TLO wasn't certain before, he's definitely certain now. This many more Hellions means that Puma has to be on at least 2 factories.
And he's doing a decent job defending here until now, but those Hellions now, I guess some Lings are on the way to get rid of them. And in the meantime, since the Hellions were in the third of TLO, all those Lings, they did some very good run by killing a lot of SCVs here. He's killed 19, 20 walkers now to the 8s that Puma has killed, so very good trade here by TLO.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant move here from TLO. punishing the fact that Puma is investing relatively little in an actual army right now. We know that Puma's expanding a lot. We know he's invested in some tech as he has Banshees with Cloak. And what units he has are on TLO's side of the map. So TLO is just punishing that with that little Zergling counterattack. Puts him in fantastic position.
I'm surprised that TLO didn't make any production facilities so far. He only went for a very quick 2-2. Finally, now we see a Baneling Nest, but I mean, he could have made this tier 1 before. Okay, finally we have a Roach Warren, so he's decided what he's going to go for. It's not Mutas, not Infestors, it's Roaches.
It's Roaches and drop, very key. And we can see an Overseer in the main base of Puma right now as TLO is continuing to run around with Lings. He sees double armory, he saw that factory. He knows with certainty now that Puma is meching, and that's why he threw down the Roach Warren. And this is actually a really important point in the game, guys, for us to talk just about what units Zerg wants to play against Mech. You're not going to be able to beat a meching player with just pure Ling. It just doesn't work that way. And keep an eye on that Overlord, by the way. You're about to see something really cool. The one in the third base. He's dropping creep right there. You can see Puma is trying to secure this third base. Well, TLO says, I'm going to attack this. Forces the command center to lift, and now with the Overlord dropping creep, it's going to be very, very frustrating. After that Overlord dies, it still takes 60 seconds for creep to recede. So TLO just being very annoying, delaying the third base of Puma for a long time. Now, you cannot beat Mech with just pure Ling. You really need something of more substance. Nidus is down, drop is being researched. Roaches are that unit. They're beefy, they absorb a lot of damage, and while they're getting hit, your Lings are able to do a lot of damage as well. So very key choice by TLO to add in these Roaches.
Puma gets a good scan here. He does see the 2 evolution chambers upgrading, but he only saw Zerglings. Like, I'm not sure what he's thinking right now, but he's making Thors, Blue Flame, and getting all kind of upgrades for his units. He doesn't seem to know what exactly to go for.
Yeah, Puma's a little bit in the dark still. This scouting Rax is going to give him a little bit of a hint as to what's coming. But one of the real weaknesses of mr.bitter, actually, we see another HyuN counterattack in the third. Let's look at TLO very intelligently lifting up all of those drones so that they don't end up dying, and he's just going to allow reinforcing units to defend that. Here comes the drop. Let's just pause right here because I want to talk about the state of the game, and let's open up the vision to everything. This is really cool. Let's look at the front of Puma's natural. He has a full wall there. He has his Banshees were there. There was a bunker there. He's got all these command centers. Look how greedy Puma's been. He's up to 4 orbitals already. He is investing so much in his economy. And Puma is saying, all right, with this wall, with my mech, with Banshees, you are never going to break in through the front. And he's exactly right. You can throw as much Ling Roach at the front as you want. But when Terran has a wall off, when Terran has that many strong units behind that wall, you can't break him. You have to figure out some way to punish him that does not involve a frontal attack. TLO says, I'm going to do it with drop. And I'm going to do it with Nidus. We're going to see the Nidus used really effectively in just a moment. But if we look at the army supplies, TLO, not an overwhelming army advantage, but a significantly larger army, a much more mobile army, and now he's putting it right in Puma's face. Let's go ahead and resume the replay as we watch and see just what happens.
I'd like to add a word about Nidus. Drop is good, obviously. I mean, he's going to be able to get all these units as soon as possible in the base, and there is no real way to stop it. But now to reinforce, it will take a lot of time to drop again. So very smartly, he throws down his Nidus, he fills it with units. And basically those units, they are going to be rallied into the Nidus.
Yes, you are so right.
They're going to come out into the base of Puma here really, really quick.
Nidus plays so nicely. We're going to have to just pause. There's so much happening right now that we have to talk about. So let's pause again, just so that we can get all of it said. You're right. Let's talk about Nidus first. It plays so nicely with drop for the reason that you just said. It is relatively easy to load up a bunch of units and then drop them in somebody's base. It is harder to load up a bunch more units and drop them again. It takes a long time. Nidus eliminates that. One of the weaknesses of Nidus, Todd, is that when you put down a Nidus in somebody's base, they just go and they kill it.
Yeah.
But when you're dropping a ton of units around that, you don't have that luxury. So now
this Nidus is basically covered.
Exactly. This is almost Zerg Warpin, because you're going to pop out of your hatchery, walk a very short distance to the entrance to the Nidus, and then pop out in your opponent's base. The second really awesome thing about what TLO has done here is he's brought queens forward. And it seems so simple, but it is so highly intelligent because Puma has Banshees. A Roach can kill a lot of stuff, but it will never ever kill a Banshee. By bringing queens with the overlords, you're able to fight the banshees, and then if you're really super annoying and Terran says, hey, I'm going to lift up, you can drop creep tumors. He'll never be able to land again. It just gives you so much extra utility. This is an incredibly well executed attack by TLO. Transfusion, another thing that queens have that they're able to use to great effect here. But let's go ahead and hit play, and we'll just watch exactly how this unfolds.
Those queens able to take out that banshee and all these roaches. I think it's just too many. The new units should be streaming in shortly here.
Yeah, and Puma knows he is completely just messed up.
It was excellent timing just before siege finished.
Before siege finished, before Puma could really get that critical mass, and because of the drop play, TLO able to basically avoid the real difficulty of playing against this style, which is how can I ever attack you? Drop is just a fantastic tool against a meching Terran. Roach drop in particular, because those roaches do so well against HyuNs, and because they have that extra, armor, the extra hit points that allow them to trade with Thors as well. We've got another cool replay. It's from HyuN versus Cloud, and I think we're going to go ahead and play on Whirlwind. Is it Whirlwind or Daybreak?
This is Whirlwind.
Let's go with Daybreak. No, the third one. The third one. It's the third one. It's not the third one. It's the second one. It's the second one. I'm sure it's the second one. Yes, it's Daybreak. Sorry, guys. I was having a moment to remember exactly which replay it is. We're going to take one more look at another meching Terran and at another cool way of using drop to punish it. Now, this is from Cloud versus HyuN, another NASL match. We're going to speed through this really fast just so that we can get up to the important parts. Once again, we're going to have very standard play on both sides. HyuN's going to fast expand. He's going to drone up a lot, and he's going to have to try and figure out exactly what he's playing against. Cloud, the fantastic Italian Terran player, is going to default to this mech style that's becoming so popular. He's going to actually command center first here, but it's going to be meching behind it. Daybreak is maybe one of the best maps ever for playing mech.tod, because mech is a style, hey, if I can get 3-4 bases, sit back, split the map, that's really good for me, because eventually I become so cost effective, I become so strong that Zerg just can't do anything. Because of the geography of Daybreak, it's easy to split the map. There's really only one funnel point that you have to hold, and that's where that center base is out in the middle. So that's what Cloud wants to do here. HyuN has to figure out, hey, how can I punish this before Cloud reaches a critical mass? And he's going to do something really cool.
Wow, look at his overlords.
Mm-hmm.
One here, one here.
Very well spread out. And
he did scout the second gas very early, so he already has this idea of his opponent most likely going mech.
He knows the gases are in play. He knows the Banshee tech is a possibility. We can see on the production tab that Banshees are coming. You're absolutely right. Overlord placement, very, very key. Able to spot these early troop movements, and that's an awesome scout as well. I'm going to float right in, confirm the starport, see the researching tech lab. HyuN doing everything right here. And at this point, I think he's said to himself, I'm playing against mech.
Oh, they didn't even damage those roaches. What happened?
Roaches are good, man. They're really, really good against HyuNs. HyuN's fantastic against light units, not so good against anything armored.
And I really like the timing of his spores.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he didn't make the spores immediately. He just waited a bit, and now he made it. Where's the queen in the main?
Maybe she walked. I have no idea. She's on a journey. Walked down to the third base. I guess in preparation for these impending banshees. Once again, we are going to see our Zerg player going up to layer tech, investing in upgrades, very standard stuff. Cloud is going to have a little bit more of an army when HyuN attacks than Puma did from the TLO Puma game. That's because he's a little bit less greedy. He's investing in mech upgrades, yes, but he gets his factories a little bit faster. HyuNs do manage to get by here. This is another thing that helps Cloud out a little bit. He's able to disrupt the early game of HyuN, but once more we see a Zerg player who does a great job of reacting to this and actually shuts it down without taking too many losses.
And not a huge worker difference, 63 to 56. This is actually looking kind of decent for Cloud so far. The supply is very
it's looking fantastic for Cloud at this point. The thing that HyuN is doing, we see him 12 drones are going to pop out. That's going to supercharge his economy, and we see those critical upgrades, Overlord speed and Overlord drop, which is just instrumental in playing against Mech. Great Overseer Scout here confirms, yes, this is absolutely Mech, double armory. I see the factories. I see you adding even more factories. So if ever HyuN had his doubts, those have been completely eliminated. Now he knows with certainty what he's playing against. And all he's going to do from this point forward is make units. He's going to get Roaches out. He's going to get Zerglings out. He's going to make some extra Queens once more.
He's already on 73 drones. And yeah, like you said, now he has 2,000 income. He's going to be able to saturate this base as soon as it finishes and just make a lot of units and try to be aggressive.
Once again, we have the same problem that every Zerg faces when playing against Mech. How do I attack this? You're going to have a big, strong, static army. What can I do to punish it? And the answer is still drop, guys. One thing that HyuN does a little bit differently, he adds in a couple of Banelings. But other than that, it's just a lot of Roaches, a lot of Zerglings, some Banelings, some Queens, and everything is loaded up in Overlords. The way we saw TLO attack, he attacked into the main base of his opponent and said, hey, I'm going to punish you by going where you aren't. HyuN is going to do this the exact opposite. He's going to say, hey, I'm going to go exactly where you are. I'm going to drop right on top of your army. And this is the result. Roaches, Banelings, Zerglings all unloading right on top of a Terran army. And if we just sit back and look at this fight, we say to ourselves, this doesn't look that bad for Cloud. He's killing all of this stuff. More Roaches are going to unload. Queens are going to unload, and they'll, maybe to be able to drop some transfusions. But Cloud is doing a pretty okay job of eliminating these units.
Yeah, the units are rallying in right now, and those units are very expensive. The Thors, the Tanks, the Banshees, and they do not come out as fast as the Roaches do.
Awesome micro right now. Loads the Queens into an Overlord, waits for the Overseers to finish, and then will unload once again as soon as he has detection. Yes, Todd, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. While Cloud is kind of defending, he's losing very expensive units, and HyuN is able to reinforce much, much faster than the Terran player can. One of the real frustrating things for Terran about playing a Mech style is it takes a really long time to build up this big army. And yes, when you've got it, it's fantastically strong, but you cannot easily replace it. Of course, the exact opposite is true of Zerg. It doesn't take a really long time to build up this big, huge army, and you can replace it almost instantly because of the larva mechanic.
Look at this, HyuN is max right now. Still.
Yep. And while Cloud does hang in there, HyuN is able to remax almost instantly, and then just repeats the exact same thing, dropping once more right on top of Cloud, and this time cleaning up everything that he has.
And a very good inject here, and macro behind this by HyuN. He just dropped the unit, microed a little bit, and then behind this he macroed perfectly every time.
And he's even continuing to attack. He's, like you said, he's taken his 4th base. He's adding that Spire, Infestation Pit, and Hive would be the eventual transitions for HyuN. But as we can see, he's not going to need to make those. He's more than 100 supply ahead of his opponent, and he has an overwhelming amount of production at his fingertips.
The never-ending stream of Roaches.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Cloud has no choice but to GG. And once again, we see Roach Drop used very effectively against a meching Terran player. So, I guess just to sort of summarize what we just talked about, Mech is becoming very common in Terran versus Zerg. It gives you a strong fighting army. And it allows you to defend pretty effectively from frontal attacks. But we can still avoid that strength of Terran as Zerg players if we just drop on top of them. So we're going to make a bunch of Roaches, we're going to research that drop tech, and we're just going to go get in Terran's face as soon as we can. We saw HyuN using drop right on top of the Terran army to just kill it. And then we saw TLO using drop to get behind the Terran army and then use Nidus Worms to reinforce. So
I really like the Nidus play, actually.
I thought it was fantastic. And just, one more thought on the Nidus Worm. If your drop goes badly, easy retreat. Just walk into the Nidus Worm, and you're back in your main base in no time.
Okay.
So, guys, that's how Zerg players should be playing against Mech. It's very straightforward. It's pretty easy, honestly. And if you just sort of follow the examples of TLO and of HyuN, you should have no trouble against meching opponents in your future ladder games. This has been the Razer Academy. I'm Mr. Bitter.
And I'm Todd.
And we're done.